Welcome to NFT Malam, Singapore, NFT Malam, Malaysia. Today we have two amazing guests. We have Asia the Bird. Uh, I was going to say singer songwriter. No, Asia the Bird, NFT commentator, podcaster, illustrator, designer. We also have NFT artist Lennon, aka Wooden Mantra. They are to be our speakers today. But first, I forgot, I must thank our sponsors today. I'd like to thank Mr. Sean McCully of Gaijin Izakaya for providing the first drink during our event's happy hour from 7 to 8:30 and 10% off the menu at every event. Thank you to Mr. Mike Chua of Fanfare Global for providing the hors d'oeuvres and all of our tech support. Thank you to Min Kwang of TSA NFT Incubator and BK Han of MGen for providing Metaverse Generation Gene Wearables NFT, which will be won by persons who are attending in via sorry, excuse me, which will be won by lucky in-person attendees. Thank you to Mr. An Tian Tek of Sticky Spy Presentations for providing one lucky winner of his ebook and one winner of the hard copy of the same book from Sticky Presentations. Thank you for Mr. Gordon Young, designer of the Skriz Metacar NFT white model. There'll be a lucky winner will be drawn from the in-person attendees. Thank you to artist Alvindo of Artalis for sponsoring the Last Supper NFT. There will be also lucky winners will be drawn at the end of the evening from our in-person attendees. I'd like to welcome Asia the Bird. Welcome, Asia.
Hello, hello.
Asia, the mic is yours.
Hello, hello.
Oh, excuse me. Asia, we're going to go with Wooden Mantra because we're saving the best for last. Not the best for last, but the chunky goodness for last. You know, like when you have guacamole. Please
Right.
hold. Lennon, welcome. Wooden Mantra,
Hey, Cafe.
welcome. We're
Hello
so
there.
happy. We are so happy to have you today. I heard that you have a lovely presentation for us. Welcome. And I'm here to support you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Cafe. And it's actually an honor to be, to meet old friends again. We have actually crossed NFT 99 twice, and right now it's NFT Malam. So I'm really happy to be here. And my presentation is going to be more like a story. And let me start with who I am. Like, I was a regular guy, doing the tech support job in India. And I kind of felt that, I wanted to get involved with my family business. Like, I would say that it's more than a business, it's something that had been passed on for many generations among our family members. So when I started to learn about the craft, I was fortunate enough to also learn about blockchains and NFT. And we actually planned to use blockchain and implement it in a craft that is really, really old. So what I represent is like my clan, which is called as Vahana Patarai, and we rebranded it as Wooden Mantra. Vahana means vehicle, and Patarai means workshop. So it all started back in at the end of 1700s, where my great grandfather was actually working in a royal court, serving the kings and designing palaces and stuff. And after some time, things eventually started to change, and a lot of these craftsmen literally had to get into other jobs because of the industrialization, and there were a lot of things that was happening. The end of the 20th century actually was hard on them, and Wooden Mantra had actually stood the test of time, and here we are today. And like you, I hope everyone can see those artifacts in the screen. Like that is a mystical creature called Yali, and we mostly design and handcraft all those things using traditional methods. And at present, I would say that the carving that we are actually doing at present is different from the mainstream wood carvings that you can normally find in a physical store in India or online. And the style that we use is called Chettinad. And we are literally trying to use blockchain and simple techniques to to actually upload our designs and artifacts to create proof of authenticity. Let me show you an example. Like I have an artifact with me right now, something like this. And we don't have many people who can do these things using the traditional methods. So what we are trying to do is once when this artifact is completed, uh, we are actually trying to provide proof of authenticity certifications to anyone who makes a purchase. And in that certification, you'll be able to find the designer, and sometimes a single piece of artifact would have multiple artisans working on it. Like the rough cuts would be done by someone, and then the smoothing out would be done by someone, and then the details would be done by some other person. So there would be at least 4 to 5 people involved in making a small artifact. But these artisans, they've never known about the global market, nor do they have any knowledge about NFT and blockchain. So Wooden Mantra is trying to help out people and give them a platform, or at least let the world know that these artisans were involved in making such great pieces. And the story of this craft started like around 1,000 years ago. um, like in the southern part of India, there is a temple called the Tanjore Temple, which was built around thousands of years ago. Like it was built by a great Chola king, and there were a lot of wealthy merchants staying at that place, Tanjore, when the construction actually happened. So finally, there was a day when the construction was completed, and they had to move to a different uh, location because being merchants, those people had to look out for another place to relocate and build out their empire. And at that time, they found these craftsmen and the ones who actually built the temple, and they actually kind of took them along with them to a place called the Chettinad, which later, which is like in the southern part of India. And these craftsmen, they were given a place to live, and they had access to a lot of things. Like they were given fields, and sometimes back in the days they were not working for wages. They had an entire colony sort of a thing dedicated to this craftsman. And one mansion, we called it Chettinad Mansion. And these mansions were so massive, it took around 5 to 10 years to complete a building. And sometimes it even took 15 to 20 years. So let's say that there's this craftsman who has a 5-year-old son, and he hops along with his dad when he's actually crafting and designing the interiors and a lot of sculptures along with his father. And by the time he is 10, he would be an expert, I would say. And later on, when he's around 20 years old, he literally becomes a master craftsman. And then he ventures out to get his own orders and stuff like that. That's how it was back in the days. And by the end of the 20th century, because of modernization and a lot of things, people thought that it was really expensive to construct these Chettinad houses, mansions, and a lot of stuff. So they started, making things faster. Like um, using machineries and stuff. And these guys who actually were trained to be a craftsman all his life had to look for other jobs. And some relocated to different places, and some actually, um, had to like, there were different jobs. They started doing a lot of odd jobs, I would say. And these craftsmen also made sure that they do not pass this craft to their son, because imagine, striking on a piece of wood for like around 3 to 4 hours is actually a really tough job. And they thought, they should get their son educated so that he can become an officer, a government officer, or become start his own business, something that's not as hard as this craft. So my family was one among these clans, and they are still doing it. And unfortunately, uh, the descendants, most of them did not learn the craft. But there is this one specific cousin I have who was involved, and he also was an inspiration for me to get involved in this art form. I actually started learning the basics of creating blueprints, which is a very crucial part of this. And so here we are right now. Let's say that, initially I talked about providing authenticity certifications. There are also other ways to implement blockchain when it comes to woodworking. Like, people who have heard me speak before, like, before this event, they could have heard about me talking about using resin and alcohol ink to create patterns. And once when the pattern is dried up, you cannot recreate it. It's like pouring drops of ink in a paper, folding it, and opening it up. And the next time you do it, you won't get the same pattern. So when you actually go ahead and upload it and register it in the blockchain, along with the details of the artisans, the craftsmen, it serves two purposes. It cannot be replicated, even if the design is being copied by someone else. They will not be able to replicate the pattern which has been embedded in the artifact. And the other one is like, the artisans, they actually get their name out in the global platform, so that other craftsmen would be able to find out the origins of his work, the story, and stuff like that. So, and pretty soon, we are actually planning to release 11 of these, the artifact that I showed you. It's called Yali. We would be doing that. And each of them is going to be having a unique pattern of resin and alcohol ink embedded in it. And the funds collected from that would be used for, to create a portfolio for other artisans and craftsmen. And I would say that the toughest part is like making these artisans understand about blockchain and how it works. Uh, they are not actually interested, because most of them do not even know how to operate a smartphone. And most of the time, these artisans are being used by third parties, or I would say self-centered brokers, who literally get these crafts from these artisans for a very lower price, and sell it across the global market for a very higher price. But if I can create a portfolio for these craftsmen, and get the word out there, I believe that I would definitely be able to make a change for these craftsmen. And there are also a lot of chances where a lot of other people would actually try to learn the craft and get involved over here once again. So that's my story here. And I would really like to thank Mr. Sean McCully of Gaijin Izakaya, and Mike Chua, and BK Han, one of my uh, oldest friends. Like, we've been traveling together for a very, very long time. And last but not least, Cafe. And I really appreciate all your help, Cafe. And, I would really love to meet you. I hope you remember that you said that you would join me in India whenever it's possible. Hoping to see you here soon. And thank you again for all the participants of NFT Malam and all the guests who are over there. And thank you so much. I guess your mic is,
Thank you
yeah.
so much. You've been an inspiration. We love hearing your story. We look forward to hearing more of your story as it continues to unfold. And we look forward to sharing your artwork with NFT Malam Singapore, NFT Malam Australia, and NFT Malam Malaysia. Next, thank you again, Lennon.
Thank
Wooden
you.
Mantra, please follow him on all his socials. Thank you so much. All right, folks. Thank you so much, Lennon from Wooden Mantra NFT. Please follow him on all his socials to see the continuing story of his family's history in artisan craftsmanship of wood carving. Next, we have Asia the Bird. Next, last but definitely not least, Asia the Bird, artist, entrepreneur, designer, podcaster, and woman in the know in crypto, NFTs, and blockchain. Welcome, Asia the Bird.
Hello, hello.
Hello, welcome,
Thank you.
welcome. And the floor is yours. Welcome.
All right. Thank you so much. Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I'm happy to be here. My name is Asia Bloworth. I'm also known as Asia. Excuse me. I'm also known as Asia the Bird. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm also known as Asia the Bird. I want to thank BK, Sean, and Mike for hosting this wonderful event of NFT Malam. So I want to go ahead and kick off this segment by talking about me. So I am from the Washington, D.C. area. I was born in DC, mostly raised in Southern Maryland. How I first got started into art all pretty much started when I was in second grade, getting into art class. I was like, wow, like this is really, really fun to do. And I remember like my art teacher would really give us like assignments and things like that in regards to like like working with different mediums such as like pastels, watercolors, you name it, like different mediums, to help express our art style and our art expression. And the reason why I gravitated to art so much was because it was something, it was like an escape for me. It was something that I could really easily express myself than in other areas. So that's what gravitated me to being an artist. And I definitely want to go ahead and also talk about, also too with getting into nails. So I started getting into nails around middle school. And I really like looked at different artists, different nail artists who were well known around the world, who are like the top people that have competed over, 10, 20 years and have been, expertise in the game, such as like Sam Biddle, Viv Simmons, Catherine Wong. Another artist I looked up to was Lilia Soretskaya. She is from Russia, from Europe. Another artist that I've looked up to and so inspired by, her name is Koska Bojana, and she is from Serbia, and she is an amazing nail artist. And I will always do nail art. Like I started doing nail art since I was like around like 13 or 14 years old. I had an interest and love for it since then. I remember the time when I was 13, my dad asked me the question of, what do you want to do with your life? What do you want to do as a career? And I said, I want to do nails. And he said, you want to do nails? And I was like, yeah. And he said, if you want to do nails, you got to be the best at it. And that's what stuck with me ever since then. And so moving on to high school, I got into cosmetology, the cosmetology program that was offered in my school. So with my high school, they offered like career type programs such as like collision repair, also too with like education careers, like if you want to be a teacher, culinary, a few other things. And also the other was cosmetology. So I took cosmetology courses during my second to last year of high school, and I got my license because nails was something I really wanted to do, and I wanted to have like a license for it. So I got my cosmetology license in 2015. Also, I went to SCAD. So SCAD is Savannah College of Art and Design, which is located in Savannah, Georgia, Atlanta, as well as across France. And I went to the Savannah campus. I got a BFA in illustration, and I got a minor in fibers, which entails yarn work, such as crocheting, knitting, natural dyeing, working with different fabrics, embroidery, you name it. So that's my background in that. And pretty much in 2020, I did a few nail competitions. So one of them was Nails Next Top Nail Artists, which was hosted by Nails Magazine, which is one of the top magazines, most professional, popular magazines in the world that talks about everything in the nail industry. So I had that experience of competing in Nails Next Top Nail Artist season 8. I also placed third in Nail Olympia, which is hosted by another nail magazine, which is in the UK called Scratch Magazine. So they have Nail Olympia in terms of the live Nail Olympia competitions, and also Nail Olympia online. Of course, they had that since the pandemic. So I got into that, and I placed third in one of the competitions. And also too, by the time I was during the time I was 15, I was featured in both Nail Pro and Nails Magazine. Also, as of recently, I was featured as 30 under 30 for Nail Pro Magazine. And Nail Pro is also another top nail magazine, professional magazine that talks about all things nails in the industry. So I definitely want to get into my podcast as well. So my podcast, how it got started, it was pretty much during the pandemic, around November 2020. So it's called Nails and Beauty Talk. I started my YouTube channel around 2019, starting to post beauty and art related content. And then essentially I did my podcast, Nails and Beauty Talk, where I talk about all things art, beauty, and fashion, as well as NFTs, crypto, and Web3. So I've interviewed over 100 people ranging from artists, fashion designers, people who are NFT, Web3 experts, people who, are into, health, and things of that nature. So I've really had the great pleasure of interviewing some of the most, coolest people, especially the ones that I looked up to, such as Sam Biddle, Viv Simmons, Catherine Wong. I was able to interview a few people of the NFT space, and I would like to go ahead and talk about some of those artists as well. Some of the people that have made a successful career in the Web3 space. And the first people that I had, I really love about their NFT collection is MetaMoms. So MetaMoms really started, with Ryan Till. She's the founder of MetaMoms, and the co-founder is Noelle Marie. She's the artist for MetaMoms NFTs. And what I found so very remarkable about their work was about empowerment. These are two moms with children. And, just hearing their story was very, very inspiring, that they wanted to really build something that was dedicated to women. Because the thing is, with the NFT Web3 space, it was, is mostly male dominated. But I like what's going on now, because there's women that's slowly getting into the space. And that's something that I really enjoy seeing. And one thing that I've really found so remarkable of what Ryan Till said, the founder of MetaMoms NFTs, was that it started as a screen name. They wasn't sure how they would push the name further. And so, Ryan and Noelle got together and just made, magic of the whole NFT collection, in terms of, just having different women of different, ethnicities and religions, but also to, having that sense to educate women in the Web3 space, and also to empower women. And I think that's really, really cool and amazing of what they're doing. The other artist I would love to really talk about, another artist I really am inspired by, his name is Gabe Weiss. And Gabe Weiss is an NFT Cubist artist from the Bay Area. So, he's originally from Ohio, but he lives in the Bay Area. So I gravitate towards work because it's so unique. It's really, really, really amazing. I love his Cubist style. I love his attention to detail. I love how he has very bold pops of color. His line work is very immaculate. I love the thick, bold black lines that he used in his work. And how he got started into NFTs was essentially, is him and his friend was getting into a situation, but he really learned about NFTs and getting involved in it because of Eddie Ganglin. Eddie Ganglin is another wonderfully talented artist who is well known in the NFT space, and he's been very successful in NFTs. And Gabe Weiss, was telling me about how Eddie Ganglin and him did a collaboration, and Eddie Ganglin was the one who really helped him get into NFTs. And Gabe talked about how he was, in Clubhouse, he was studying NFTs for 20 hours. And, the thing is with his work, his work is absolutely amazing, and his stuff sold out. His stuff sells out, and he has this new project called the Stoics, which I find very, very cool. And I had the privilege to really talk with him. And he's also good friends with another NFT artist. His name is Ali Sabit, who's another artist who's very well known. But one thing I found very, very interesting about what he said, what Gabe Weiss told me was that an investor came to him and said, demand is your friend. So it's understanding, and it's pretty interesting how you have to understand, what can you bring to the table in terms of NFTs, like what makes you stand out. And that is something I think that's very, very important. There's a thing like in business of supply and demand. So I think that's understanding that, not only in, business, but also in the business of NFTs. So I thought that was very, very, interesting. Another artist that I've really gravitated to, and I ran into his work on Instagram. It was on NFT Magazine, and he's a well-known artist, and he was featured in a few different articles, and there's a few interviews about him. His name is Mark
Asia, did we leave? Did we lose you for a second? Test, test, test. And we're going to have a quick little break while we wait for Asia to come back. We'll be back in 1 second. Thank you.
Last supper never ends. Last supper lives again. Last supper never ends. Interpretations.
Welcome back. Let's see what's happening. Hey, Malam. We will be right back with Asia.
Hi, I'm Vessi Mink. I'm a singer-songwriter and also an NFT music creator. I've been invited to be a speaker for NFT Malam Singapore. Big up to BK Han, Sean, and Mike for hooking it up in real life and online for the NFT communities globally. Super excited. I've been asked to sing a song and to write one specifically for this event, which I will be doing. See you soon.
Welcome back. We are going to be checking out some of Asia the Bird's art right now. Hold, please. Wow. We want to see see if you can show. Very hard to connect with her. Just talking. All right. Let us check out some of Asia's work while we wait for Asia to come back through. All right.
Yeah, my Wi-Fi went out for a second.
Understood. So we wanted to see some of your art. So the request was made to see some of your art while you were talking. So I have some of your art. If you want to take over the screen or share or take over the screen, the people want to see some of your art while you're talking. Is that okay?
Yeah, it's totally fine. All right. So here is some of my work. But I also want to continue with my discussion really quickly. So, but back to what I was saying about Gabe Weiss. Like Gabe Weiss is such an amazing artist. I really love like his work. Like his work is absolutely, amazing. And I've learned so much from him. And like I said with Mark Induso, like, Mark Induso, he started off as a brand designer. He was a brand designer. He's into film. What I love so much about his work is that, it's very surrealistic, but I love how he really channels, his experiences, his life experiences, and really interviewing him of how he got started into NFTs was essentially about somebody messaged him. Somebody messaged him about NFTs. Like he didn't pay too much about it. And eventually like he got more invested into it. Like the more the guy was messaging him, and was like, okay, let me check out the space. And he said that NFTs really changed his life, and his work is really well known. Mark Induce's work is absolutely great. And one thing that I found so remarkable about him is that me and him have the same interest in regards to with art and being inspired by people like Caravaggio, as well as Leonardo da Vinci and other artists who have really paved the way and have really, really, created and pushed the boundaries of art. So that is something that I've really, really enjoyed from Mark, was not only him sharing his experiences, but also sharing his style. Because also too, like what I love about his work as well, is very cinematic. He's very inspired by cinema, into film, and that's what I can see within his work. I also want to talk about another artist, such as Leah Sams, and she's from the UK. She started getting into theater, and how she got into NFTs was, during the pandemic, she was doing illustrations, and her husband discovered her work. And the thing is, what's really, really cool is that like her husband and her friends, her husband's a firefighter, and her friends and her husband was letting her know like, hey, I would buy your work as an NFT. And what I like about Leah Sams's work is really, some sort of minimalistic within, different details, but also it's very, very colorful, very vibrant. And I love what she represents. And she had 50 illustrations out there, just put out. And the thing is, what I found very, very cool is that her stuff sold out in 3 hours, which I found very, very interesting and very, very cool, that her work was very, very gravitated towards. But also to what's starting with Power of Women. She's the creator also of Power of Women NFTs. And she started at the same time as World of Women, as well as Women Rise. And these are women type NFTs, NFT collections that are well known. And with Power of Women, I like what it stands for, just because it's really, really cool to see where there again, it's women representation, educating women, including stories in the NFT and Web3 space of women in terms of, life experiences, different types of womanhood, ranging from pregnancy to, motherhood, or, different things. So that's what I really like about Leah Sams's work. And I really had the great pleasure of interviewing her. She's very sweet, down to earth, and her collection is really, really amazing. I want to go into some honorable mentions. Serwa Atefa, I had a chance to also interview her. She's from Australia, and her work is very, very cool, very dreamy, very surreal, like Mark Induso's. But I like how she has that 3D element to it. She's very much into 3D art, very, very dreamlike, very futuristic, Afrofuturism. And with her, how she got into NFTs is that, a friend, got her involved in a virtual gallery, and, she didn't know what NFTs was, and she like jumped in head first. And, she's like, hey, I'm gonna try this out. And, and it worked very well for her. Her stuff has been really well known. She's worked with different brands and things like that. One of the brands that I really liked, that I really like, is the Smirks, the NFT brand that's out now. And she's done a collaboration with the Smirks. And what I like about the Smirks work is it's very fun, very cool, but also as well, it has that element of streetwear. It has the element of that urban vibe that I like from each of the characters that they create. And it started by Combrizi and Flatsy. These are two guys who are brothers and who are getting well known into the space. And that's something I really enjoy about their work. But Sarah is absolutely talented. She's also a painter and a musician. And, it is really, really cool to see, how she's about, having ethnic representation, but also having a surrealistic vibe to her work. Another person I would love to mention is Marlene. Her name is Marlene Wyman, and she goes by Studio Arita on social media. And her work is very, very absolutely cool. It's so cool. Like, I love her portrait work. She does very, very good with bright colors. That's something I really gravitated towards with Mark and Dussel, as well as Gabe Weiss. It's just their use of color. I really love colors, and colors attract the eye. One thing that I like about with Marlene is about expressing also women as well. And I had a chance to interview her, and she even talked about like how she got into NFT. She talked about how a friend, wanted a portrait from her, and that's how she got into NFTs. Like, her friend also told her about getting into NFTs, trying to convince, like, yo, you should get into NFTs, and that's how it went from there. And she has 2 collections out. Which is Modern Muses and Crazy Sassy X's. You guys should check those collections out. Those are really, really cool. But Marlene is absolutely talented and really, really, amazing. But really, to end this off, what I found so interesting about the NFT and Web3 space is that it's growing, and these are people that have took their artwork and made something, something to share, but also they found a way to stand out within, Web3, within the space of Web3. And these are people I had the great pleasure, as I said before, of interviewing. One thing I've noticed with the NFT and Web3 space, it's not only it's growing, and of course it's still new, but of course, like, people are really getting into the space. And one thing that I found very, very memorable of what Leah Sams told me from Power of Women was that more artists are getting into the space, so it's hard to stand out. So it goes back to where it's like the man is your friend. So it's like, what is something that you can offer, or you can really, what makes your NFT collection stand out? And the thing is, everybody that I've interviewed, their collection is something totally different. Like how I said with, also the mentions that I talked about, like the Smirks. Another collection is Laid Back Llamas. Laid Back Llamas is one of the getting, up and coming, well-known, NFT collections, that are not only about the artwork, about the PFPs, but also about, really giving something, to have access in. And so what I found so, great about NFTs and the Web3 space is that it's growing into different
All right, NFT Malam, thank you so much for joining us. We had some technical difficulties with Asia the Bird. We're going to have her back. What we did is we ended this section with featuring some of her interviews and some of the artists that she has interviewed in her podcast, Asia the Bird, NFTs, crypto, her art and beauty podcast. We're going to have her back. We're going to clear up those difficulties on her part, and we want to feature her again and have a smooth transition. So thank you for joining NFT Malam Singapore today. We hope you had a fantastic week this week. Please, thank you so much for our replay viewers who are watching again. We will see you next Thursday. Thank you, NFT Malam.